Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
Good morning, Northeast Mississippi travelers. This is Heather with Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I'm so excited to share my adventures and tried and true tips with you. Whether you are also a seasoned traveler, a hopeful traveler, or currently an armchair traveler, meaning you're going to follow along with us from home for now. This is our 133rd episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. And today I'm going to talk to you about breathing new life into old destinations. Have you ever heard the song Escape by Rupert Holmes? You may not know it as Escape because that's not how I know it. I know it as the If You Like Pina Coladas song. Now you may know what I'm talking about. Like if you like Pina Coladas and Dancing in the Rain, it's all about a couple who both take out personal ads trying to find someone better suited for them because they're not happy in their current relationship. And they take out an ad. He lists all the things that he wants, or she lists all the things that she wants. They end up getting back together because they think they're finding someone new who likes all these things that they do, and it turns out they answered their own ad to the person that they were with. They said they never knew. They realized something new about each other. Now, I'm not recommending that at all. This is Valentine's week after all. But what I think that even beyond reminding each other what you love most about one another, it's not forgetting that there are things about each other that we may not know. I've been married for almost 18 years, and it's really easy to think after you've been married for almost 2 decades that you couldn't surprise the other one, and that's just not true. I have found that's part of the excitement is finding, new hobbies together and going to new places, experiencing these new things together, but then realizing that we're always growing. We're always changing. It's the same for destinations. So you may have a go-to place and you feel like it's the same old every year. And you want to try something new, but maybe everyone else in your family just wants you to keep going back to the same place. Or maybe you think, okay, it's just easier. We've been here before. We know what to expect. But you're really feeling like you want to try somewhere different. I'm always an encourager of going somewhere new every year. And if you've joined our Facebook group, Heather and Logan Tate, Whimsical Destinations, you see that I'm always encouraging guests to go somewhere different, somewhere they haven't been before every year. But in the same mindset, I also feel like even though you should go somewhere new, you do not have to give up the places that you love. But how do you breathe new life into those places? I want to share some ways to spice up those destinations to make them feel brand new again. 5 ways to breathe new life into those old destinations that you love to remind yourself why you love them in the first place. Number 1, go during a different season. You're like, okay, I love going to the beach. And we go every year the same week in July. And we have our rhythm. We stay in the same place and we go the same time. One of the easiest things you can do is go a different time of year. Maybe you go there for spring break, or maybe you go there during fall break. And you can find that the same destination feels completely different just by going a different time of year. Maybe it's less crowded, less expensive. The mountains, if you love going to the mountains, and maybe you normally go during the fall, and I have been to the Smoky Mountains in all 4 seasons, and it feels like it's a different experience. There's certain things that are open sometimes of year that are not others. There's sometimes when it is bumper to bumper traffic, and other times it feels like you have the place completely to yourself, even the downtown strip. There are times when certain hikes are closed, certain trails are closed because of the snow. There are times when the leaves are changing. There are times when you can go floating down the river, like in the summer, that if you've never been to the mountains in the summer, there are certain things, like I said, that are not even open other times of the year. It will feel like a whole new place for you. Same for maybe you love going to the Caribbean. And I have clients that they like to go to the Caribbean every year, but maybe they always go for an anniversary week, and maybe they could change it up and go for a birthday week. Maybe they go in the fall during fall break when prices are amazing, but they've never experienced Jamaica in January when there feels like there is zero humidity, which is why we love to go to Jamaica in January. So going a different time of year will help you maybe experience events that are only during that time. It will help you to see it through a new lens. That's the first example. All right, number 2, stay in a new place. If you go to the same hotel or the same resort year after year, stay in a different resort or a different hotel, different part of that area. Maybe you've never gone camping or glamping or stayed in a cabin. Or maybe you haven't experienced an Airbnb where you can have a whole house to yourself and be right there on the beach. Maybe you've been year after year, but you've never stayed in a treehouse. There are so many new treehouse and other interesting accommodations that are available now. 2 years ago weren't there. So wherever you're thinking about going, look for some interesting, unusual accommodations. That can completely change the vibe of a place where you've been multiple times. Okay, another thing, try a different restaurant. This is number 3. Go to a local hangout. Maybe you've gone so many times and you always go to the same places. You go to Panama City and you're going to eat at Pineapple Willie's every time. But maybe you're thinking, okay, I'm going to the same places every year, not only the same destination, but I'm in the habit or the rut of going to eat at the same places. Keep some that are the same, that are your favorites, and the others change up. So try a different restaurant. Ask the locals where they like to go. So whenever you're doing an activity, ask the people who work there, like, where do you like to go for lunch or for dinner? Where's your favorite place to recommend? Wherever you're staying, whether it's a resort, ask the front desk, your concierge. If you're staying in a cabin or Airbnb, talk to the owners and ask them where they recommend. So go where the locals go. All right, number 4, try a new activity. I have been to the mountains so many times. I've never been ziplining in Gatlinburg or gone to an adventure park when I know that there's lots of options there. I've been to Jamaica now 14 times. And when we just went in January, it was the first time ever I've been to the Blue Hole and gone tubing down a river. We went tubing down the White River. And we've done lots of excursions and activities there, but you just can't do everything every time. There's no way. So if you pick one new activity every time you go back to a place that you love, it will help you see it in a whole different way. Say you've been to Jamaica, but you've only been on a cruise. Go and experience it by staying there. Stay at a resort where you get to experience it for multiple days. You're seeing the sunrise and the sunset. That's another way to completely change your mind about a destination. So that's your new activity. And number 5 is invite friends or family who have never been there. So if it's your favorite place and you love it, and you go the same time year after year, invite someone that maybe has never been, and you will see it in a whole new light. It is why, for me, going to my favorite destinations for the first time with my children has been a completely different experience and so exciting for me because I get to see it all over again for the first time through their eyes. You have those books that you read that you love and you've read them over and over again, but you wish that you could read it again for the first time. This is a way that you can go to a place that you love and experience it for the first time again through the eyes of someone else. So bring your friends, bring your family, invite them to do multi-generational family trip or a group trip. Bring newness and excitement again to those old destinations. That is all the time we have for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, wherever you go, whatever you're doing, life is a great adventure, but it is what you make it. Take the trip, make those memories, because life is short and you won't regret it.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.